Welcome back, YouTube pipe smokers. Muttnchop Piper here. Well, today's video is primarily for beginners and intermediate. Probably by the time you get to this stage, you pretty much know how to smoke your pipe and have gained enough knowledge to be proficient in smoking a pipe. So today's video, we're going to talk about carbon cake and how to cut that carbon cake out of a pipe. Now, carbon cake is a byproduct of burning tobacco in a pipe. When you burn the tobacco, it produces carbon. That carbon adheres itself to the insides of the pipe. Now, let me preface this video. Let me say a couple of things before we get into this video. There are several methods that people use to build a carbon cake. There are people that take ash and put it on the inside of their bowl to get the carbon cake to adhere to the sides faster. Some people put honey, and there's other substances that other people put on the inside of their pipes to get that carbon cake to adhere to the inside. Now, I don't know if these methods work. I personally don't use any of them. I used to use ash, but I found, now this is just my personal opinion and my personal experience with putting something on the inside. It will cause the carbon cake to adhere to the inside of the bowl faster. But I found that when I cut it out, in some sections, it will break off. And we'll get into that here in a minute. If you've got a friend or you've got a family member that swears that putting honey on the inside works and you trust that person, then by all means. If you feel that's the way you want to go, then by all means, do what your relative or your friend suggest. I personally have decided not to put anything on the inside walls of my pipe. Second thing, there are several ways that you can cut out carbon cake. I'm just going to show you the method that I use. This is just how I do it. This is only one way. You can use a pocket knife. Matter of fact, my grandfather, smoking his pipe, that's how he would cut carbon cake out of his pipe, is using his pocket knife. There are several other different ways that you can go about cutting carbon cake out of your pipe. It has been my experience that people are apprehensive about building carbon cake into their pipe. They hear that, okay, so in order to keep your pipe safe, you need to build a carbon cake. Now, I have found, okay, so first let's do this. Why do you want to build a carbon cake? A carbon cake, its primary use is to insulate the inside of your pipe. So that way it will absorb a lot of the heat before it reaches the inside walls of your pipe. Now, the inside walls of your pipe, it's pretty strong. It's burl is very dense wood. It's very dense. so it's going to be hard to burn. But there is a chance that if you get it too hot and it finds a flaw, it will take advantage of that flaw and burn a hole through the side of your pipe. So in order to minimize that threat, you want to build a carbon cake on the inside of your pipe, so that way it would absorb some of that heat. Now, I have found that by utilizing the breath method that I do, that I can control the amount of heat that my bowl is subject to. Now, I know you guys are probably tired of me talking about it, but by using the breath method, you can really control how much heat your bowl is subject to. I've done several videos on how to do the breath method. So if you're new to pipe smoking, and this is only a couple of videos that you've seen of mine, I suggest that you look for those videos and take a look at them, because it really puts you in charge of the pipe instead of the pipe being in charge of you. Okay, so here's what happens. You start to grow carbon, and carbon grows and grows and grows. Let me tell you, I have seen pipes that have so much carbon in them. I can't understand how anybody could even put any tobacco in the pipe. It's so thick. So eventually, you will have to cut that carbon cake down. Eventually, if you're a heavy pipe smoker, you're going to have to cut that carbon cake out quite a bit. So how do we go about doing that? Well, like I said, there are several ways, and none of them are wrong. Some people cut it out with a knife, a pocket knife. There are other devices that you can use to cut that carbon cake out. Now, what I personally use is I use a Decatur pipe shield, which is right here. So let's take a look at this real quick. As you can see, there are different sizes. Okay, so what it is basically this part right here is like a cutter. Okay, then there's 4 of them. All right, so they're different sizes too, and this is the handle that you use to cut that cake out with. So you take this and you put it inside here, like so. There you go. Now it's ready to go. All right, now let's take a look at my pipe here. This pipe is a Savinelli 122 Servo Cuervo rusticated. You can get them from smokingpipes.com for a little bit, around $100. And this is, of course, I know you guys most of you already know this, but this is my favorite pipe. So let's take a look. Now you'll see this part right here. See that little lip that goes on the inside? Okay, that's about how much carbon cake I like to be on my pipe. It's about a 1/16 of an inch. That's enough to keep it insulated and prevent a burnout in case there is a flaw in the wood that would cause that. Now let me show you something real quick. See right here, this part right there. All right, that you have to be careful. Sometimes if you use something, anything, a knife, it might pull out a chunk like this. Now this is toward the top, and like I said, using the breath method, I can pretty much control the heat, so I'm not I'm not very concerned about that portion being a chunk being out like that. So basically what I try to do is I try to not get the tobacco quite that high. So it will build the cake back, but I just want to make sure that, until I get past that part down into the pipe, it will not get that portion of the pipe so hot. So if a piece breaks off down toward the bottom of the bowl, you're going to have to strip all of the carbon off the walls, because the pipe will heat up, and if there's a chunk at the bottom or about the middle, it may concentrate the heat if the pipe gets hot. And if there's a flaw in that area, it may concentrate the heat in that area, and it'd be like taking a blowtorch. This is a little extreme, but you get the idea. Taking a blowtorch and centering it on one section and just holding that blowtorch there. Eventually that area is going to get really, really hot. The surrounding area won't be so hot, but that portion will be. So that's kind of the concern, is the inside of the pipe that's not covered by the carbon cake, you could incur a blowout. Okay, so how this works is, depending on the size of your carbon cake, on mine, I had to go to the smallest with the handle and go in and cut it. Now, I'm going to switch this one out. This one. Okay, so basically what you do is you take the handle, and as straight as you can, you put it down in and you turn it. You turn it, you turn it, you turn it. Like so. Okay. And then once you've reached the bottom, you can't see a lot of it. That's some of the carbon cake that's come out. All right. And then what I do is I take a paper towel and I kind of form it in the shape of the inside of the bowl. And I go in and I just wipe out whatever's left. Now, something else you'll need to do is you'll need to make sure to use a pipe cleaner. And you can separate if you want, and just take this pipe cleaner and make sure that that hole has not been filled with any of that carbon. Okay. And then once you get to about 1/16 of an inch, and again, it's up to you. You may have a family member that likes 1/4 of an inch. You may have a family member that that you have a huge pipe and they like a 1/2 inch. It's strictly up to, if you're a brand new pipe smoker and you have nobody around to guide you, then use this as a guide. If you've been smoking a pipe for 40 years and you have a way that's worked for you, then use that way. This is just like a way for those that doesn't know any pipe smokers and is kind of going it on their own. The only reason I'm showing you this is so that you can understand that eventually the carbon will build inside the bowl to the point where you will not be able to put tobacco in the bowl. You'll be forced to cut it out. And this is just one way of cutting that out. Now, you can get this set of cutters on Amazon, and I will put the information as to where you can get this particular set or a set like it from Amazon, and the information down below. All right, well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and this is just one of many ways to be able to cut carbon cake out of a pipe. Share with me in the comments what way you use, and I might even change to that way if it seems like it's a better way than what I'm doing. All right, well, that's it for this video. Until my next video, I want to wish you and your family happy piping.